We are joined by Father Richard Clancy, a good friend of Catholic TV, and MIT senior Naomi Henderson. Both Father Clancy and Naomi were instrumental in the dignified response to an incredible show of our Catholic faith on the streets between MIT and Harvard Square. Guys, thanks so much for being with us. I mean, this is a national story, mostly I think because of the response to Naomi. What made you want to become involved in this procession? What in your faith life made you want to become involved?
Well, I think it was a moment in which I felt that my faith, my church, and my Lord was going to be attacked and mocked. And so I thought that the appropriate response wasn't just to sit down and say, oh, poor them, they don't understand. But I felt that I needed to do something, that I needed to stand up for what I believe and what we believe.
You know, when I was a pastor at St. Matthew's in Dorchester, mostly Haitian community, we had a procession on Corpus Christi every year because the Haitian people have such a devotion to the Blessed Sacrament. But did this surprise you, Father Rich, when you walked out the doors of the chapel there onto the streets, and as you continued to move, the reaction of people, did it surprise you?
Yes. I mean, the difficulty is that we had right from the beginning, first of all, we had to work through the police and all to get permission. And we didn't have, final permission till Friday afternoon for the procession. So then it went out on Facebook and it went out on all these things. And police, who were extremely, both the MIT and the Cambridge police, who were wonderful to us, they kept asking, well, how many people are coming? And I said, that's the only question I have no answer to. I have no idea. And of course, finding a parking space in Mass Ave in Cambridge at that hour of the day is like, you're more likely to see a unicorn coming down the street. So we started with about 250, 300 people. People brought in buses. People drove from as far away as Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut. People were kind of summoned there. And then as we processed, it was more or less people were joining us along the way, so it kept building. And the police estimates close to 1,000 people by the time we came to the end of the procession.
Amazing. You think of the old days when you'd see processions and you don't see them as much. And yet, what a powerful reminder of how important the Eucharist is to all of us. As you were walking down that street, Naomi, and you see all of these people gathered together, what was that like for you?
It was very moving. I was in the middle of the procession because I was trying to help the choir, and it was in the middle. And so I think that I was walking, and I could see the people to the side kind of looking at us, but you could tell that they were moved, that they knew that something powerful was going on. And you could see their faces and their expression, and it was really powerful to me too. I was like, wow, this is happening, and it's big. Like the people expressions, I will always remember that.
So let's set the stage here. We have some great images thanks to George Martel and Greg Tracy, and you were there in the chapel, a very beautiful chapel at MIT, and Rich, you exposed the Blessed Sacrament. And then you began with prayer and a full chapel to begin with. And for you as a priest, and you've been a priest for a few years now, we won't go into numbers.
23 years.
23 to be exact.
Yes.
This must have been a great moment for you as a priest.
It was an amazing moment of grace. And what came throughout the whole process, as Naomi was saying, people love Jesus. And, every year we have, a month ago we were reading the Passion, and we're hearing about how Jesus is disrespected. And you can't help but wonder, from the time you're a young person, you say, where were all the people he healed? Where were all the people that he gave himself to? Where were all the people he taught? I mean, John named who was there. That's how many people were there. And I think what you really saw in this, as you look at these images, is people personally felt called. I need to be there. If we didn't want to focus on what was happening elsewhere, we said, if Jesus is going to be, ridiculed and blasphemed and desecrated, we're going to make sure that we have a greater number who are coming to honor him and give him glory and worship. And people really took it very personally. And there, you know, you see the reverence with which Jesus was treated and loved, and it was very, very powerful.
And the canopy, of course, is part of the tradition of the Eucharistic procession, and that canopy is a reminder to us of our great respect, our reverence that we hold over the Blessed Sacrament. And I think that in itself was a reminder and a witness to us as you walk through the streets of Cambridge.
You know, what I really enjoyed too is this wasn't an event. This was a happening where people responded to this. Naomi, as a young Catholic, what does it mean to you to see so many other young Catholics being out there? It wasn't just the older generation, it was young people. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, especially my fellow MIT students. I saw many of my classmates there, and it's very motivating, very encouraging, and it gives me hope and for our church, and it's very powerful to see.
And of course the procession ended up at St. Paul Church in Harvard Square, and there was a holy hour adoration, and it reminds me too of the international character, not just of the city of Boston and the student population, but of the church itself. We see Father Clancy there with Bishop Kennedy, Father Dre, and that procession, for me, as I say, was a reminder of the fact that the church is universal, and not just universal to this world, but it encompasses the saints in heaven and those souls who are struggling in purgatory. And for all of those people, we were praying and gathered in reverence for Jesus, who is so central to our faith.
There were people all over the world joining us in prayer. We heard from people all over the world. Churches were open, parishes were doing holy hours, people were offering sacrifices, and we very much felt their prayerful support and power. And along the way, many of the people who joined us were, as Naomi was saying, she heard a lot of Spanish and a lot of Portuguese, and it was really a very international experience, both in Cambridge and also throughout the world. And I just wanted to say, Father Dre and the St. Paul people did a tremendous job in their circumstances, and they're dealing with the situation. This Eucharistic procession was designed to support them, as well as to give all honor and glory to God.
And right from the grassroots, too.
What can we learn from this, Father? What does this say about us as Catholics?
Well, as I said, I mean, I was thinking of James Joyce and his quote in Finnegan's Wake. He said, being Catholic means here comes everybody. And there we were. And I think too often, you know, the last prejudice, acceptable prejudice, it seems, is against Catholicism, and we do take a lot, but it goes to show that people love Jesus. And evangelization, really, at its simplest point, is the desire to help people encounter Jesus in His love, in His mercy, and, you know, to keep it at that level. We don't always have to have a big cause. We don't always have to have a big argument. We don't have people love Jesus, and give them opportunities to love Him, respond to Him, and build a community around that love.
Well, Naomi and Father, thank you for taking the time to join us today and share your story with us here at Catholic TV. Very much appreciated, and I think a great thing for the Church.